Vancouver Island shelters are bracing for the onset of winter. The cold temperatures result in more people coming in, more meals served, and more pressure on the resources that exist. CTV's Bruce Williams explains.
Well, when the weather changes as it has, there are probably things you do around your house. You put the patio furniture away and you clean up the garden a little bit and you get your sweaters out of the closet. However, what if you don't have a patio? What if you don't have a garden? What if you don't have a closet in which you keep your sweaters? When the weather changes, the welfare of people who are living on the streets and the people who are challenged by those kinds of circumstances changes completely all over Vancouver Island. Grant McKenzie is with Our Place, which is the largest facility on the island that deals with people who are in transient housing or homeless altogether. Winter is a whole new thing for you guys, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It really puts a lot of strain on our resources because we have to be open, much longer hours, and we're busier just all the time, serving more meals, giving out more clothing, more socks. It's just busy, busy.
We've seen things come up in all the communities on the island where people decide in the warmer weather that they will live outdoors. It's been called camping in the park. They're actually living in the park. But obviously in warmer weather that's possible. When the weather turns the way that it has, those people are now coming to shelters like yours.
Yeah, and they need places to stay. A couple that I know that comes to Our Place, they're an older couple who ran into some health problems. They're homeless, and so during the summer they were able to sleep in a tent. They don't want to be separated. They want to be together. But a lot of the shelters don't offer them that opportunity, but now they'll be forced to go indoors because you just can't survive outside.
To put this in really obvious terms, it's cold, it's wet, it's damp. These people do not have an extensive wardrobe. It's a very simple thing as even looking at the supply of socks that are available to them, right? That's always a big deal, isn't it?
It's a huge deal. We go through at least 100 pairs of socks a day, and
wow. Same
with underwear. And you think about anybody who's out there living under a bush. What do they need? They don't have access to laundry facilities. They don't have access to even basics like, feminine hygiene products and dry socks and underwear and that kind of stuff. It's huge. Huge.
One of the things that we always consider when we speak with you and others at the shelters on the island are that what if you weren't there? What if Our Place? What if other shelters, Salvation Army, St. Vincent de Paul, all of those, where would these people be?
They would be in the doorways, and you wouldn't be able to move them from there because there would be no place to move them to. And you would have a lot more deaths. I mean, that's the reality of the situation. We already have a lot of memorial services all the time at Our Place, but without facilities like Our Place, there'd be a lot more people dying. And these are people who are falling through the cracks of healthcare, mental health care, addiction services, and they're not, all criminals like some people like to brand them.
Well, it's not against the law to be homeless, and it's not against the law to be mentally ill. None of those things are illegal, right?
Exactly.
We take a look at the circumstance in which a lot of people live. Younger people, single-parent families, seniors on fixed income are not that far away from being, I'll say, destitute. How many paychecks or how many support checks away are they from being at your doorstep?
Yeah, I think we can all be in that position. But the big thing that I find when I talk to people, every day at Our Place, and I really see is that almost everybody who's on the street has a history of abuse in their life, whether that's all the way down from, prenatal to childhood abuse. It's quite devastating when you talk and you find out exactly what they've gone through.
There's also a sort of a stereotype or an unfair fact that comes out saying that, well, the weather's better here than it is anywhere in Canada in the wintertime, so people come to Vancouver Island to be homeless for the winter because the weather's bad. No, they don't.
No. A lot of people, especially when you're homeless, when you're down, I mean, there's anxiety around that, there's embarrassment around that, and you don't want to leave on the off chance that you might get better support somewhere. You want to depend when there's a soup kitchen there that you can go to, when there's a church you can get socks from. You're not going to leave that regardless of the weather, and you don't have the money to travel,
exactly.
And B, you don't know if that situation if the grass is greener there or not.
Yeah, I mean, if you had the money to travel to Victoria from somewhere else, you wouldn't need the shelter that you're in, probably, right?
Yeah.
You know what, just to close, the great thing I like about Our Place is the name. It's not like there was an organization that imposed a name on it. It's like not Grant's Store or Bruce's Farm or something. It was named by the people inside. They call it Our Place.
Yeah, and we refer to everybody who comes to Our Place as family, and we call them family members, and that's how we treat it. It's hope and belonging for everybody.
There are shelters, of course, all across Vancouver Island that are just like Our Place, doing what they do or whatever is particular to your community as well. So, Grant, the bottom line is the need goes up because there are more people involved in the shelters. And as we move into wintertime, all of these things we've talked about, food, clothing, are necessary. cash also goes a long way.
Goes a long way, because that way we can put it where it's needed most.
Right on. Grant McKenzie, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Grant is the Director of Communications at Our Place. Check out the shelters in your neighborhood and in your community to see how you can help as the weather changes.